how do you identify? Do you identify yourself as a speaker? Well, there's an awful lot of talk these days about how we identify, isn't there? There's from the sexuality perspective, are you man, are you woman, are you non-binary? How do you identify? Well, I want to take it to a different level. I want to take it to the labels that we attach to ourselves when we plaster across our foreheads. I work with a lot of people who inevitably are speakers, but now I'm moving a lot more into author circles, because last year, 2023, I was involved with this book, and then we curated this book. Why am I sharing that with you? Because the people that I was co-authoring with, many of them were, my work speaks for itself. I have poured my heart and soul into my written word. And I find this, not necessarily with those authors, but with a lot of other authors, that's their identity. They're authors, they're not speakers. And they hold on to that identity because that is their zone of genius. They are familiar with the writing. But it doesn't have to stop there. In fact, I would encourage you that it can't stop there, because you have to take those dead words on a page and bring them to life, embody them, share the energy of your message that's on paper with the world out loud. So why is this so important? Well, I don't know if you listen to books, listen to audio books, or whether you are primarily a visual reader. But if you listen to a book that's narrated by the author, and they're good at it, they bring that extra something, don't they? They bring that voice, literally. You can hear their voice in the words. So then if you do read the book, either physically or on ebook or whatever, you have that voice in your head as you read, which is so exciting. I mean, that's what happened with the first book, The Awakened Feminine. We did a book launch in Perth at the State Library, which was all very lovely. And we had 6 of the authors there in the city. And I gave the other authors a coaching session on how to bring their words to life. And my goodness, did they do a good job, because all of them had very passionate stories to share. And we were looking at, how do you bring those words to life? Because everybody who went away from that experience, or the audience with the book, could then hear the voice of that individual writer, an individual author, in their heads as they were reading. And I've had feedback from a number of people who were there who went, that was brilliant. I didn't appreciate how special it is to hear the author read their own words. Audible is great, but if you're there in person, you can see the person, you can hear the person, you build up that rapport, that connection, both head and heart with your audience, you as the speaker. Because the audience can really get to know you, get to know your feel, your passion for your message. That's why my new podcast, From Page to Stage, is so exciting for me and the authors that I'm working with. Because for some of those authors that don't really want to be a public speaker, in fact, the thought of it scares them witless. It's a common fear. In fact, it's statistically the highest fear, I believe, speaking in public. And there are all sorts of reasons behind that. But the point is, if you have a book, you have a level of credibility. If you then speak to that book, speak about that book, and be known as the authority on your message, which is in that book, the two go hand in hand. and your credibility as an expert in your field just flies up. So From Page to Stage, as I mentioned, is a podcast that is launching on the 8th of April in anywhere east of London. Anywhere west of London, it will be on the 7th. So we are launching at 8 a.m. on the 8th of April. That's Kuala Lumpur time, because that's where I'm based. And I'm going to put in the show notes the different time zones that you can come join us. But we're going to have a live launch party. Come and join in the fun. I'm pre-recording a load of episodes with people who are published authors. Some of them themselves are publishers. So we get to talk to them about how do you get involved with writing a book in the first place? And then the third element, some of them are podcasters. We have variations on that theme. All of them are written authors, all of them are published authors. So we will be launching that, and you can come along and listen to some of those speakers who will be there at the launch party, talking about their stuff, their work, how you do the From Page to Stage. That's what we've got coming up. I wanted to share that with you today. So I'll pop in the show notes, as I said, the information as to how to join us, where the podcast will be broadcast. It will always be broadcast here on YouTube to start with, because as a speech pathologist in a previous life, I'm very aware of the importance of the non-verbals. I've worked with people with hearing impairments and they like to lip read. So that's why I'm an inclusive type person. I want to have the visuals available to the people who are challenged in that direction. And even if you're not challenged with your hearing, you get so much more out of visually engaging with the speaker. So primarily it will be up on YouTube. We will also put it up on Spotify and Apple and probably Podbean as well. For those of you who like to stick me in your ears and go about your day. So that will also be available. So I wanted to share my excitemous with you. I'm calling it excitemous because it's that bridge between nervous and excited. That's a good word for you, isn't it? If you haven't already heard it, excitemous. I encourage you to feel that when you go into something new. So there we go. That's what I've got for you today. For now, bye from me.